Conservation with us again this Tuesday morning. Every second Tuesday of the month, Dave enters in and got a list of info from what's going on in the conservation world. I did want to kind of mention, I'm going to skip down to number 4.
Sure.
And I'm going to ask how's things going now. I know we're dry. Other than yesterday, I don't think it rained in over a week. And my yard's burning out, and I know others are too. So how's things going in your line of work due to the ever-changing weather?
Yeah, it's patchy. Even some of the native grass seedings that we did this winter and fall, or winter and spring, they're iffy right now. We could certainly use more rain. Yesterday, it seemed like from the Interstate 88 south, they got some pretty good showers. I got a tenth at my place, and that was it. So the northern part of the county kind of got skipped, but it was really patchy coverage. I don't know if Fulton, if they had quite a bit or not.
At times, it was kind of
hit and miss.
Slow down, and then it would hit real hard, or one block is not raining.
Yeah, the other one is. I heard reports that down by Atkinson and Anawan, they were getting an inch plus. And like I said, north of the interstate, Rock Falls got rain, Linden got rain, Morrison got just a shower, and that was it. But it's definitely dry. I was always taught that if you get a quarter inch of rain, you get sun and heat the next day, normally that quarter inch is gone. Mm-hmm. So what we had yesterday, at least in the northern part of the county, is not going to last very long. I would hope we get at least an inch today. I don't think we're going to. It's going to be spotty again, but certainly would be great. This hot weather and wind just sucks the moisture out of everything, plants, the soil, the whole bit. And, we had a lot of tillage done in a lot of the farm fields. You asked about how it relates to, the direct job. And when you do that much tillage, it has a tendency to dry fields out anyway. And when you don't, and it crusts them. And when you get that crust on there, a lot of times the rain doesn't penetrate. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a catch-22. If you got a lot of residue out there, more than likely you're going to keep a lot more moisture, and probably the crop's going to benefit from that too.
Mine was the corn just east of the station here.
Right.
It's not looking too bad.
No. We've gone from some evenings in the 30s to evenings in the 70s, and a lot of heat during the day. Early on there was a lot of yellow corn out there from lack of nitrogen. When it gets cold like that, the plant kind of shuts down and it doesn't take in the nutrients that it needs. And it turns yellow. So it's green. We need a drink now, though. Yeah. That's going to be the key. The old saying when I was growing up was the $1 million rains.
Yeah.
So if we get an inch here in the next week or so, that's going to be $1 million rain.
Or more with inflation.
Yeah, with inflation, the price of commodities these days. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, let's hit number 1. It's nesting season.
Yes, I think I've said this before. If you can possibly avoid doing any disturbance in grass fields and woodlots, leave them alone for now. There's a lot of things that are still nesting. A lot of things are hatching. The deer are starting to drop fawns. I'm seeing little ones with spots already. I've had reports for about 3 weeks now. They've seen fawns with does, and they're starting to run around. Don't forget that if you see an adult deer go in front of you on the road, more than likely there's going to be a fawn behind it. So slow down, watch where that doe came from. Try to avoid hitting him if you can, because one, it's expensive. The repair and your insurance is probably going to go up too. And two, if you don't need to hit them, don't hit them. Avoid it if you can. But everything's nesting right now. For our farmer friends, if you're mowing a hay field, you're probably going to end up hitting some nest right now. You might even get a fawn or two. Their natural defense is to lay still. And it doesn't matter if it's a coyote or a tractor, they'll lay there. And they don't move. That's what they're taught. And instinctively, that's how they react. So, mowing hay this time of year, which, I get it. You need to do it because it's going to get rank. But if there's ways you can avoid it, try to if you can. So.
Yeah. Talk about, a good season. Geese. I have not seen so many little baby geese.
They're everywhere. Well,
ducks, I haven't noticed too many ducks. Or
the
wood ducks
mallards
yet.
should be bringing the chicks out pretty quick
Yeah.
now. Usually the goslings, as you said, come first. And yeah, they're definitely out. I saw some the other day that were probably half grown. They must have been real
They're
early
growing
ones. But yeah, the ducks should be coming out pretty quick. And the problem with the geese is, well, there's a couple problems. One, they can be very destructive in town and in rural areas too. They're a lot like sheep in that they don't nip plants off when they grab them. They actually pull the entire plant out. They don't have teeth to nip and cut plant material. So if they get into a lawn and they get into a golf course, they're going to destroy a good portion of the grass. And the other thing is they always leave you presents behind.
Yes.
They eat. There's other things that happen afterwards. And if you have a pond, that can be bad because it causes nutrient pollution. You got phosphorus and nitrogen in that, the dung, and it can cause excess algae and weed growth in a pond. And it can be really dramatic. A friend of mine's got about 1.5 acre pond, and he's got about 25 geese that have been spending most of the spring in there. And the amount of algae that's bloomed in the last, 2 weeks since it really heated up is just amazing. And he's going to have to go in and treat it now. And he's tried to scare them away. Legally, you're not supposed to shoot them right now because they're migratory species. I don't know about Iowa, but I know in Illinois they actually started a hunting season in September to deal with golf course geese. Where if you can get permission, you can go in the first week in September and actually lessen the population. If there is a nuisance problem in Illinois, you can call the Illinois Department of Natural Resources and see if you can deal with it. But with the migratory species, it gets real iffy as far as controlling those. And the problem is they don't really migrate anymore.
Yeah, notice that.
Yeah, as long as there's open water, they're going to stick around in the winter. And if there's food in the fields, they'll migrate out of the towns and cities to the fields to feed on corn. But really, they don't migrate like the actual migratory geese do in the Mississippi Valley. So a lot of these geese are homegrown and they stay right here. And that's the other problem is when they have the goslings, that location imprints onto those goslings, so they stay there too. One thing about a pond I could tell people, don't mow it like a golf course all the way around it. Leave a band of about 3 to 4 foot grass around it, and a lot of times they'll avoid those ponds. They want to be able to see over the vegetation to look for predators, and if they can't see over the vegetation, they'll avoid it and find another area. So that's one thing you can do is leave some tall grass around the ponds and water structures. So.
Very good. Number 2 is nest boxes.
Yeah. Along with nesting season, the boxes are being used. If you have bluebird boxes out or wren boxes, check them. You may have sparrows, wood duck houses, look for starlings. And you can tell if a starling's using it. Normally the nest is really messy and there'll be, once again, dung everywhere. The other thing that might use it though that's kind of cool, and I would leave them alone, is a kestrel. Kestrels are little hawks. They're actually related to falcons. Some people call them chicken hawks. And they'll use a cavity like that in a wood duck box too. And if I see those around, if you look on the box, it'll look like somebody whitewashed the inside of it. That's the sign of the kestrel is using it. But they're cool birds. They catch a lot of mice and rodents and stuff like that. And I usually leave them alone. I don't drive them out of the boxes. If you put up enough wood duck houses, you're going to have room for the kestrels and the wood ducks too. So, but check them. Make sure the trash birds and those nasty birds aren't in there right now.
Okay. Let's go on to, soon as we talk about this every couple months, Illinois turkey season.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. The preliminary harvest results are out for Illinois, and they were down almost 2,500 birds, which is a substantial decrease. And I'm getting reports that it was over most of the state. And I looked at the harvest records for each county, and almost every county's down. And that's a dramatic decrease. At one time, there were 16,000 birds harvested in Illinois, so you're down to roughly 13,000. A lot of reasons. I think I talked about this a little bit last month. Buffalo gnats are being linked to the decrease. Habitat changes in the woods. The thicker they get, the less turkeys use them. So those timber improvement and the harvesting techniques are something that really does help woodland wildlife. A lot of people don't want to cut their trees, but in the long run, it may actually help the wildlife. And, you can get some income off your woodlots too. So I don't know what IDNR is going to do. There's been some talk about limiting permits, maybe shortening the season, but nothing's been finalized yet. And this isn't just Iowa and Illinois. They're studying this problem all the way from Louisiana State up to the University of Maine because the decline's been so dramatic over such a large area. So stay tuned on that one. There may be some changes coming in the season next year, though, so we'll see. But it's a sad thing. It was one of the most successful wildlife reintroduction programs in the country, and now it seems like the flock is really on the decline. So hopefully we can solve it.
Number 6 is crop residue.
Yeah, leave some crop residue out in your fields, folks. It was a dry spring, and there was a lot of tillage done in these crop fields, and now we're kind of paying the price with this dry weather. Like I said, that residue helps hold moisture and get your soil bacteria really charged up. And those are two things that can really improve your yields. And with the price of corn now, the more yields you can get off per acre, the better off for your pocketbook. And I know the price of the inputs has gone up. More money you can make per acre, the better off you are. So leave some residue out there. It'll keep the phosphorus where it belongs in the field, not eroding down the ditches and into the Mississippi River. So please do that. If you have any questions, give us a call, and we can help you maybe get started on a higher residue system.
Okay. So, and when people want to call, they want to call the Whiteside County Soil and Water Conservation District.
Right.
Dave Harrison's with us again this Tuesday morning, and we got one more topic here: the fungus among us.
Well, it was and that means morels. Bad year. Once again, it was cold and dry, and those are terrible conditions for morels. Every place I normally find, and I'm not a big morel hunter, but I've got a couple spots I normally check, including one in my backyard, where I've got a really big dead elm that's shedding the bark, and usually I can find enough for a meal for my wife and I, and not one back there. And in some of the woodlots where I work on, I've been looking around too, and I didn't find any. So it was a terrible year. If you found some, good for you. But hopefully next year will be a little bit warmer and wetter.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we've run through your topics this morning. Once again, tell the folks how they can get a hold of you and if they got any questions.
Yeah, you can get a hold of us at either by telephone at 815-772-2124, extension 3. And just as a side note, I got my voicemail fixed. So all you people who have been calling, leaving messages, I think I'm all caught up.
You can finally listen to
Yeah, I can listen to. And you can get on our website too at whitesidecountyswcd.com.
Okay, real good. Dave Harrison, thanks for coming in this morning. And
Thank you.
We'll send her over to Gary Denham.
Coming up on the next John Tesh Radio